Hello, we're taking a quick look at the book Replicator. So far, this is an old edition of issue 1, and this is in issue 2. Allegedly, there is a misprint of issue 2. Sorry, allegedly, there is one. I don't believe this is it. It was said that the misprint had to do with a double-page spread, and in issue 2, here is a double-page spread. Looks fine to me. There's continuity there, so I don't think this is one of the misprints, and I'm happy with that. And I really enjoyed this story so far. It's written not like 1960s Spider-Man tight, but it's written tight enough. It is mostly an action story, and so there's not a ton of dialogue, and that's fine. We're going to go over a lot of this plot, but it's already been put out there in promotions by Mr. Arnold. I believe that's Rob Arnold. He's the writer. So taking a look in issue 1. This is an old version of issue 1. Let's see. Prologue. That's going to be our first bit here. It's written by Robert Arnold, art by Ozdik. In this version, I don't know if the art's being remastered or not. The colorist was Campbell. Letterer is Jamie Mee. Editors are... I can't read when I'm nervous, and whenever I'm nervous, I'm recording. So anyway, editors and things. So here we go. There are editors. The plot, as Mr. Arnold has put out there before, is that in England, it says a virus is released into the population. That means somebody released it. Grammar. Aha. It's not just that a virus exists. It's lethal and relentless. It is simply called Red Death. Now, most of the pages in this book have been shown publicly already. I'm going to go through most of the book, most of the 2 books, but I'm not going to describe each one in detail. Don't worry about that. So here we go. We're getting what's going on in the world. There's panic. There's a disease, and so a corporation. Is their name here? Oh, geez, who was it? Globe Industries, I think. I think it's Globe Industries, but anyway, they erect a walled city that's supposed to be clean of the virus. That's our prologue right there. Then for chapter 1, we jump into Sanctuary. That's the walled city, so we're inside. Blackgate Central Headquarters. Blackgate is a corporation. They do private security. These are some of their armored security guards. We see our protagonist. His name is Riker. And we have our antagonist here. This will all be made clear later. And the story after this fight, which we don't see the resolution to, flips to 18 months earlier. Alrighty. Well, got the glare going over here. Be careful, don't dent my pages. And what's established in this world before we're introduced to Mr. Riker is that drugs are being smuggled into Sanctuary City. This is where things start to pick up. We see Mr. Riker. He investigates for the police on the outside of the city. So there are ways to get in and out of the city apparently legally, like if your job allows you to. But outside of that, it looks like things are pretty well walled off. Now it's interesting. So this is Riker's narration here in these boxes. He's describing his job, that he patrols the zone beyond the wall, and he acts as an intermediary. He's a lot friendlier than these contracts. That's these guards right here. And it's a token responsibility for Mr. Riker that these guards just pretend to care, or people inside the walls pretend to care, excuse me. And Riker just does what he can. Alright, what he's investigating is a murder. Right there. Anyway, so we see Riker's job here. He's being pulled in multiple directions. We get a good characterization on him that he just doesn't want to see people die. And we see that played out as, for whatever reason, and if you read the story you'll find out why, this family is murdered. And then we move on from there to introducing more new characters. This book is broken up as a setting the world, and it's just introducing sets of characters. And that's what all the sections of the book really do. You get your setting or characters, and really it's only a little bit of plot, but it's everything you need. So we're introduced to a character here named Ghost. We see that she is quite capable of being an assassin, and she deals with somebody else who's deadly with one of these gigantic anime swords with the tiny handles, and I don't know, those things are just weird to me. It's not my thing. It's a good introduction to this character. She is injured, and we move on. But and she'll come up again later. Don't worry. Riker's wife here is being honored. I won't say why. We're just going to move that along. One of the things I like about this story is it sets up all kinds of intrigue. There are different teams. You don't know who's exactly allies because they might not be allies. So, and we see that later. But what happens is the wife, and this is shown, this is in the previews, so I'm not worried about that. The wife is kidnapped. He tries to stop it, and this is really great. Our author actually included a scratch version of that page in the back in this version of the book. And so as she is being carried off, he is blacking out, and that's the end of book 1. Book 2 picks up with a different artist. We're given a synopsis, and the plot just keeps moving along with book 2 here. So I wanted to cover up some nudity, and just because YouTube could be anything. So and look at the art, look at the density here. I like how the panels are laid out a lot more dense, even though it is a standard like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 per page, but they're not in a grid. We do get characterization. We find out who this guy is. Is he the same guy who comes later, or who we saw in the flashback at the beginning in the or right after the prologue? Maybe, I don't know. But his corporation is now going up against the government, and it just moves straight in. The action just keeps moving, so we're not told a lot of things. We're not told why, but we are hinted at. It's hinted at that he wants to control what's going on. There's hints at potential intrigue. You can start forming your own theories, like a lot of people do about TV shows. So you don't need every question answered to follow the story. I like that it's written that way, that you can say, okay, I can just run with this. The artwork is great in this, in this kind of stuff. A lot of smoke. I think that kind of works with showing motion, not emotion, but motion. And then whatever goes on in this firefight between his corporation and the government, our plot moves forward, and we do see, and this has been revealed publicly already, so I'm skipping to this page, there's an attempt to kill the kidnapped wife. So, as I said a moment ago, one of the things I really like about this book is it sets up all the different teams the different teams and factions where you don't know who is with whom. But it's not confusing at all. You just have to be a little bit suspicious in your thinking. It doesn't require all the clarity. You know the questions will get answered eventually, and so there's a lot of intrigue. So we know that it's a story of a husband who wants to rescue his kidnapped wife. There's that one adventure. It's also in a way a bit of a murder mystery. Why is this corporation trying to take over what it can for the government? That's in book 2. During while everybody's dealing with this red death that's going around. I like the book. I'm looking forward to issue 3. There is a remastered version. I believe it's the cover that's being redone or remastered. I don't know about the interiors for book 1, and then you can get issue 2 with it, and there might be a variant cover, but that's where the misprint, you can actually buy a misprint, and I'm going to wait a little while and maybe do that for myself because misprints are kind of cool. Alright, thanks for checking this out.